I am 101 years old. And I want to tell you something nobody warned me about getting old. It isn't the aching joints. It isn't the slower mornings or the names you have to reach for. The hardest thing about getting old is realizing how much of your life you spent carrying things that were never yours to carry. I spent the first 80 years of my life doing what I was told was right. Being what I was told I should be. Worrying about what I was told I should worry about. And then, somewhere around my 80th birthday, the fog lifted. Not all at once. Slowly. Like a window being wiped clean after years of grime. And what I saw on the other side of that window changed everything. I stopped doing 5 things. 5 things I had been doing my entire life. And I am absolutely convinced, that letting go of those 5 things is the reason I am still here, still sharp, still grateful, at 101 years old. I want to give them to you today. Not because I think you are doing everything wrong. But because I sat where you are sitting. And nobody gave me permission to put these things down. I had to figure it out alone, and it cost me decades I can't get back. You don't have to wait that long. Thing number 1, I stopped trying to control what other people thought of me. For 80 years, I performed. Not on a stage. In every room I walked into. At every dinner table. Every family gathering. Every conversation at church, at the grocery store, at the neighbor's fence. I was always measuring. Does this make me look capable? Does this make me look like a good mother, a good woman, a person worth respecting? I spent money I didn't have on things that made me look like I had more than I did. I swallowed disagreements to keep the peace. I smiled through slights that still sting when I think about them. I edited myself over and over, trimming away the parts of me that might make someone uncomfortable. At 80, I looked at that habit clearly for the first time. I saw it for what it was. I had been handing my peace of mind to other people my whole life, and trusting them to give it back to me, and they never did. When I stopped, when I finally let go of needing to manage what people thought of me, something unlocked in my chest. I started saying what I actually meant. I started wearing what I wanted to wear. I started leaving rooms when I was tired instead of staying because leaving would seem rude. What replaced it was something I had never had before, the feeling of being entirely my own. You don't have to wait until 80 to feel that. You can put this down today. Thing number 2, I stopped saying yes when I meant no. My friend Margaret, 78 years old, one of the sharpest women I ever knew, spent the last years of her life exhausted. Not sick. Exhausted. There is a difference. She was on every committee. She cooked for every funeral. She drove everyone to their appointments and picked up every grandchild and answered every phone call and said yes, yes, yes to everything, because saying no felt like a character flaw. Like evidence that she was selfish. She died at 82. And at her funeral, the pastor said she was the most giving woman he had ever known. He meant it as a compliment. I sat in that pew and thought, she gave herself away until there was nothing left. She gave herself all the way to the grave. I had been doing the same thing. At 80, I made a rule, I would only say yes when I meant it. When it gave me energy instead of draining it. When it came from genuine love and not from fear of being seen as unkind. The first few times I said no, I was certain something terrible would happen. It didn't. People adjusted. And the yes I gave after that, the real ones, meant something. They had weight. They were worth receiving. What replaced the automatic yes was space. Room to breathe. Room to choose. Room, finally, for myself. If you are watching this and you cannot remember the last time you said no without apologizing for it, I want you to hear me. You are allowed. You have always been allowed. If this is landing for you so far, type the word free in the comments. I read every single one. Now let's keep going, because number 3 is the one that surprises people most. Thing number 3, I stopped treating worry as responsibility. For most of my life, I believed that worrying about the people I loved was the same as protecting them. I worried about my children when they were small. I worried about them when they were grown. I worried about my grandchildren. I worried about my husband's health, my sister's marriage, my neighbor's son who was making bad choices. I carried all of it, awake at 2 in the morning, running every worst-case scenario, as if my worry was a kind of vigilance, as if stopping would mean I didn't care. At 80, I looked at that clearly. I saw that not one single thing I had ever worried about was made better by my worrying. Not one. My worrying had never prevented a single accident, healed a single illness, or fixed a single broken life. It had only broken mine, little by little, night after night, year after year. What I found when I set the worry down was not indifference. That is the fear, that if you stop worrying, you will stop loving. It isn't true. What I found was that I could love people more clearly without the static of fear between us. I could be present with them instead of braced for disaster. Worry is not love. Worry is fear wearing love's clothing. And you are allowed to take it off. Thing number 4, I stopped measuring my worth by my usefulness. This one took the longest to see. It hid behind virtue. I was raised in a time and a world that told women their value was in what they produced. The meals they cooked. The children they raised. The house they kept. The way they showed up for everyone else. For 80 years, I believed that if I stopped being useful, I would stop being worthy of taking up space. When my body began slowing down, when I couldn't do all the things I used to do, I felt shame. Deep shame. As if my worth was leaking out through every limitation. I apologized for needing help. I apologized for sitting down. I apologized for not being what I had been. At 80, I looked at that belief and I said, this is a lie I was handed, and I am putting it down now. What replaced it was something I can only call dignity. The simple, solid understanding that I was worth something just by existing. That my presence, my memory, my laughter, my perspective, my love, had value whether or not I was cooking anyone's dinner. I want to say this directly to you, your worth is not your output. It never was. And if someone in your life has let you believe otherwise, that is their poverty, not your truth. Thing number 5, I stopped postponing joy. This is the one. Of all 5, this is the one I want to press into your hands. I spent most of my life saving joy for later. Saving the good china for company that never came. Saving the trip to see my sister for when things settled down. Saving the long conversation, the slow morning, the afternoon with nothing planned, saving it all for some future version of my life where I would finally have the time. I did not take that trip to see my sister before she died. I still have the good china in the cabinet. I am 101 years old, and I understand now with absolute certainty, later is not a place you arrive. Later is the lie we tell ourselves to make peace with today. At 80, I stopped waiting. I started using the good plates on ordinary Tuesdays. I started calling people I loved without a reason. I started walking to the end of my street every evening just to watch the light change, because that light, that exact light, on that exact evening, would never come again. What replaced the postponement was the extraordinary discovery that an ordinary life, fully lived, is the most beautiful thing there is. I am not telling you these things so you will feel bad about the years you have spent carrying them. I carried them too. We all do. We carry them because we were taught to, because the people who handed them to us were carrying them too, and they did not know any better. But I am telling you, from 101 years of living, that none of it was ever required. The approval you have been chasing, you can stop chasing it today. The yes you say when you mean no, you can say no today. The worry you mistake for love, You can put it down today. The usefulness you have been performing to earn your right to exist, you were always worthy, today and every day before. And the joy you have been saving for later, spend it now. Please. Spend every last bit of it now. You don't have to wait until 80. You don't have to wait until 101. You can let it go today. I have been asked many times what the secret is to living this long. People expect me to say something about vegetables or sleep schedules. And those things matter, I won't pretend otherwise. But if I'm honest, if I look back across 101 years and ask myself what really kept me here, it was this: at 80 years old, I stopped fighting myself. I put down the armor I had been wearing for decades. I stopped spending my energy on battles that were never mine to fight. And the life I found on the other side of all that putting down was quieter, smaller, and more full of light than anything I had known before. I am not telling you this for sympathy. I am telling you this because you still have time. More time than you think, if you stop wasting it on things that were never worth carrying in the first place. If something in here touched you today, I hope you'll share this with someone who needs to hear it. A friend who says yes too much. A daughter who worries too hard. A son who is still performing for a crowd that isn't watching. And if you want to keep walking this path together, if you want more honest conversations about what it means to live a life that is actually yours, subscribe. Not for me. For yourself. Because you deserve a place where someone will tell you the truth. Thank you for being here. I mean that more than you know.